I don't, wish him ill will at all. But for
But
years,
you are a witness. You see, you were there. That's very important. And
yeah, there was never
Yeah.
anything like that they could have used. There was if he was in the back upstairs bathroom, there was this tiny little, I guess you'd call it a 1x4 shelf over the sink. Well, that wouldn't hold up worth anything. So why would you put your initials on that?
Yeah.
All of the men kept their own toiletries and all that in their rooms.
I'd like to tell you something. Lee said when he first came here that he was actually applying for a room back there, but they were all full. That's what he told me.
There was no room available except that room.
Okay. So
And a few days after he moved in, someone else moved out. My grandmother gave him what she called first choice. Anyone that lived in that room, if someone moved out, she gave them the choice to move into a larger room first. And according to my grandmother, he looked at the room and said, Mrs. Johnson, I really don't have that much stuff, and I like the big windows in my room.
That just sounds just like him. And,
so, so he chose to stay in that room.
Well, he told me he chose to stay in the rooms. I mean, that's why I'm asking you. I just wanted to verify the little thing that he said that originally when he was sent over here. He thought
So were you in contact with him?
Oh yeah.
After he was arrested in here?
Oh no! Wait a minute. After he's arrested, they wouldn't let anybody contact him.
Right,
he told me all about him being here.
He couldn't have. Because he was not here before he met you.
What?
No.
Wait a minute, let me explain something to you. He was here in November. He moved in here in November.
Yes.
We were in contact by phone.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, that's what I was asking.
Yeah,
that's what I was asking.
Heck,
you were in contact with him after he was here.
I'm almost positive he called one time from here, but he spoke to me in Russian when he talked to me. But he at least called his wife at least once from here too.
Oh heavens, yes, we heard him speaking Spanish and Russian all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And my grandmother knew that his wife was from Russia, so she always assumed that he was probably talking to his wife.
Well, actually, at least once he was talking to me, I'm pretty sure from here, because he'd only use Russian if somebody was around. Now, I didn't know that was Russian. I would talk back to him in English. I mean, I can understand Russian. It's sort of like there's a degree of proficiency. First you can read it, and then you can speak it, that kind of thing. So I could understand him, but I really couldn't respond very well back in Russian. But I could read it,
Okay.
Well, about like most of us from Texas know some Spanish. It's the same sort of thing,
I'm no español.
Yeah. Well, at least you know something. So you can come out with a few words. You always.
Yeah, I'm probably one of the few people that was ever kicked out of high school at Spanish.
Oh dear. Okay. Well, in general, at any rate, I could understand it pretty well at that time. And in Russian. And if there are other people around, he was tended to use Russian.
What did he say, if anything, about his mother?
He didn't have anything nice to say about his mother. We both had really mean mothers.
Okay.
And neglectful.
Did he say why she moved the family all the time?
Well,
how she afforded it?
His version is a lot different from the one that's official, because he said it was her pride. She was too proud to take help from the family, and it really suffered because of that. That's what he told me. You don't read that. Usually it's just, you read that she just kept moving, all that kind of thing.
But how did she afford it? How did she raise 3 children?
She put them, because at that time she put them in a children's home. She only
now I knew she tried to
$10 a month per child, which a number of people did, because women, they didn't have provisions back then for they became widows. In New Orleans, that's what they did. I mean, and they took very good care of the kids. Loved it there. They were not unhappy at that Bethlehem school. They took good care of them. He was a lot more unhappy living with his mother because she would lock the door. If she was out, she never would give him a key to the house. And if he came home from school, she wasn't there. He had to sit outside, or he learned to open the window and get in. Okay, and then they're often the refrigerator is almost empty because she ate out a lot and did provide for him. He told me he'd make ketchup soup for himself, you know, with bread. I mean,
well, I knew his childhood was horrendous.
Well, he had loving let me tell you though, he had very loving aunt and uncle in New Orleans, and they treated him like a son.
That's good.
And also, they don't mention Mr. Echtel. They're trying to say that he had no father figure, but for about 3.5 years or so in there, Mr. Echtel that she married, he was really, really nice to Lee. He just adored him. Okay. And they got a big lot of toys and all kinds of stuff, you know, and everything. And, so it wasn't so bad. And the house was nice, and the boys, his two brothers got sent off to a military academy for about 1.5 years until things got kind of bad again. But because Mr. Echtel started cheating on his mother.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have always felt, and I have said, that I felt that Marguerite was probably undiagnosed mentally ill. Do you think that is fairly accurate?
No, I don't.
Okay.
She's just a very selfish lady.
Okay.
Selfish and proud, and
Okay.
she kept a very clean house. It was spotless.
Okay.
And Lee slept on the floor. I mean, because he didn't provide for him very well. I mean, on a mattress on the floor, you know, when she was like in a single bedroom and all that. And they're trying to say he slept in bed with her. He didn't do it.
No, and I never heard that.
Well, no, these are things they make up, you know.
Yeah, and but from some research I've seen,
well,
he went to a different school every single year, sometimes 2 schools in a year.
Well,
and that, you know, and so you're saying that this gentleman that she was married to,
he had money,
took care of him and all of that.
Yeah.
So why didn't he at least get to stay in the same school for
well,
2
if you
years?
look at it, he did. They kind of make up a lot of stuff. It wasn't that bad.
You know,
here's the thing that though, like they moved out there, and I know they were out there at least a couple of years there in the school. What I know is that you also have to look at, like when they went up to New York. Lee told me about this. When they came back to New Orleans, Marguerite realized that he had spent so much time playing hooky, because she moved at least 3 times when they were just in the Bronx. Look, she lived there 3 months, the rent would not be paid. She'd move rather than pay the rent. That's what she was doing.
Okay.
And with no consideration for, and the others, she was a proud woman, as they say, and all that. Pretty good at selling hosiery and dresses, but when it's like she wasn't very. She just couldn't hold a job more than 3 or 4 months at a time. That was the big problem.
Okay.
And so he just got sick of it. He got sick of having to go to one school after another and have to fight his way into, you know, how they boys pecking order.
Well, I would think, you know, Mr. Lee was a small man. And so
well, I'm a small woman. I never thought of a small man.
So I would equate that he was a tiny little boy. And so when you're always the new kid on the block, the new kid in school, you might as well put a sign on him that said, pick me, pick on me, pick on me. And so I would imagine that he was constantly.
Well, you'd be surprised. He held his own. I know this because when they put him in a boys' kind of a correctional facility, he had everyone's respect. He really did. And
now, when did he
go?
go?
Bantam Rooster. Okay.
Okay, so
that was in New York. because he's playing hooky so much because he got sick of going to school. He even went across the border to Canada. And people say, oh, come on, he's only 12 and a half. Wait, he was 19 when he went to the USSR.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he could certainly go across the border into Canada with a half a day trip on a bus, which he did.
Mm.
And in fact, I found witnesses to that because I knew what he did. And they were just thrilled because I said, he talked to this guy at Customs,
Mm-hmm.
and officer said, you can't go across, said he begged him, and so he took this bus to Crystal Beach and went across, and he said, if you don't get back, by, I think it was 8 or 9 o'clock at night,
Mm-hmm.
he said, I'm gonna get you arrested, and you'll be really sorry. He did come back, they became friends. 10 years later, he meets him again, but I'm just saying, so I went to the family, and I said, at one time, this man was customs officer up there at Buffalo, by Buffalo, New York,